Hello, hello everybody. So this is kind of a random video. As you can see, uh, this is actually more of like sweet memories and you know previous fun memories before the COVID, right? So I would say maybe 5 years ago. It's actually been a while, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But this was my trip to my island, small island in the Philippines called Cebu, and I believe the reason why we went was for my cousin's 18th birthday, which is kind of like Sweet 16. It's a big event, or a quinceañera, right, in Mexico. But this is, we call it debut, which is basically spelled like uh, debut, right? It's actually a big it's a fairly big ceremony. It got a little fancy, a little bit. They were very happy. My family back home were very happy because all of us, from the U.S. kind of went and visit. So it was a big, big event. It was so fun, as you can see. A lot of good food. Spending time with the family. A lot of dancing too, of course, right? And so I'm just talking over the video. So I don't. Oh, this one. This is my funny cousin. This was when he was a little bit younger. He's pretty fresh. He's a funny guy. That kid. Now, obviously, as you could see, the festivities, continued on over the night. Hanging out with the families, funny stories. Just good times. And it's gotta have some good food, and you know memories are really, really still fresh in my head. It was a good time spending time with the big family back home. Getting having get-togethers, having a lot of rice. You gotta have a lot of rice. With that much food, you gotta have rice, a lot of rice. Oh, this one, of course, you gotta enjoy the beach. Um, there's actually, around the island, there's actually close to, not close to, actually more than 200 resorts all around the coastline. So you can literally go to a beach or a resort every single day. So you could actually go to the beach 5 days a week in a year, and and not visit the same beach twice. That's how many beaches there are over there. It's really amazing. And of course, the sand. You get the white sand. You get the blue, clear waters. Like the water is clear enough that you could see the fishes, swimming all over the beaches. So because the fact is, it's an archipelago. The island is basically an archipelago, and so it's not like you're looking at the Pacific Ocean. It's really pristine, almost um how do you say, coastline waters without you know without the ocean, because this island is surrounded by hundreds of islands around it, so the waters are very calm. It's calm waters. That's how you make a good beach. Is you cannot have you know just a coastline and then the Pacific Ocean, because that's an ocean. For a beach to be a beach, it has to be an archipelago, right? um and like I said, it's just it's a very popular island. And at nighttime, there's what they call, it's a very religious country, of course. It's a very religious island. Almost 98%, 99% Catholic. So at night, there's this thing called, we call it procession. So in which they would have, they call floats, right? In which they would have the different saints of different provinces. They kind of walk them around the street late at night, and they sing hymns and prayers and praises, and it's really cool. It gets the people together. It's a very, very community together. It's very fun. And what I love to do is really taking in some of the young kids all around the neighborhood. So I asked my uncle, and he was very, very kind and generous to have the kids come in his property. And we bought a lot of gifts and toys, and prizes. And so we held like fun contests, like the sack. I don't know how you call it, but the sack running games, and playing tags, and just, it was just fun. And as you can see, this kid with the purple shirt, he's like the shortest kid, but he's the most athletic kid in all of these. Out of all of them, he was just amazing, and they were having so much fun. And I was actually the MC, and I had so much fun too. It was it was really hilarious. Now I'll show you the kid that I'm talking about. He is a beast. He goes in beast mode a few times. Let me see if I got him in this video. Here we go. This kid right here. He's like the smallest kid, but he is like a bunny. Look at him hop. Look at that. Look at him hop. He just went beast mode on them. He is the smallest, but he was the most athletic one. He's hungry. He's a hungry specimen. Look at that. Ooh. There you go. That's how you do it. And what is this? I can't remember. Ooh, what is that? Oh no, that's marshmallows with chocolate covered marshmallows. We were just walking around town. We're going through the poor neighborhoods and stuff, and kind of, giving everybody, chocolate covered marshmallows, and you know, everybody was just taking it. They really enjoyed it. Mm-mm-mm. Yum, yum, yum. the guy's looking like that looks suspect, dude. I don't want it. But it was so fun. It was just fun. We had all the neighborhood kids coming in. And like I said, my uncle was very gracious enough to have all these kids in his property, just taking them in, feeding them for lunch, taking even their family members were welcomed. Came in, just random people came in. Oh, egg hunt. They don't have this back home. So they were like, "What are these eggs? We don't celebrate egg hunting." Um, but they had fun. They had plenty of fun, and I think that's it for the video. So
Hello
we're
guys,
gonna
how is
continue.
your NCLEX review going? Today we will be talking about one of the most common diseases that you might encounter in your NCLEX exam, which is that of hepatitis. And hepatitis is basically inflammation of the liver tissue. It's plain and simple as that. And believe it or not, a good portion of the people who has the less severe type of hepatitis will sometimes show no symptoms at all, whereas others can develop some of the more common symptoms such as jaundice, which is basically yellow discoloration of the skin. And what occurs is that the liver is not able to break down basically or get rid of the bilirubin, which is a yellow pigment that is formed when our bodies break down the red blood cells in the body. Okay, in the liver actually. Now, other common symptoms includes poor appetite, vomiting, tiredness, lethargy basically, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. Now, as we all know, hepatitis can be temporary, or what we call acute, or it can be long term, which is chronic, depending on whether it lasts for less than or more than 6 months. Okay, now acute hepatitis can sometimes resolve on its own, or it can progress to a chronic hepatitis. But the thing is, if it's not treated, it can eventually lead to acute liver failure. And what happens over time is that chronic form can progress to a scarring of the liver, right? Or can even cause, like I said, liver failure or liver cancer too. Now, let's talk about classifications of hepatitis and the way of transmission. Now, there are actually 5 types of hepatitis. There's A, B, C, D, and E. And this is a quick review, so we're just going to go over basically the first three hepatitis, which is A, B, C, A, B, and C. Now, let's start with hepatitis A. The incubation period usually can last from 15 to 45 days, and it can be transmitted primarily through fecal and oral route. So, prevention basically includes sanitation and hand washing, okay? And there is a vaccine available for hepatitis A. Now, with hepatitis B, it's transmitted through blood to blood contact, also sexual contact and drug use, so being in contact with needles and razors. Now, there is also a vaccine that is available for hepatitis B. Okay, now lastly, we will look at the most serious one actually, which is hepatitis C. And hepatitis C is transmitted again through blood to blood contact and also sexual contact and drug use. Now, take note that the patient can be asymptomatic with a a person with hepatitis C, and some are only diagnosed once abnormality is being detected within the liver enzymes. Now, symptoms of acute hepatitis C includes fever, fatigue, loss of appetite, nausea and vomiting, abdominal pain, and jaundice, okay, which is the yellow discoloration. Now, here are a few of the things that you want to keep in mind for your NCLEX exam. Now, with hepatitis B and hepatitis C, it is connected with cirrhosis and liver cancer, okay? Now, also, what we call enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay, or what we call ELISA test, is the initial screening test for these clients suspected of being infected with hepatitis C, HCV virus. Now, liver biopsy can also be used to confirm the diagnosis of hepatitis, okay? And the treatment most often used for a patient with hepatitis C is a combination of two medicines, interferon and ribavirin, okay? Again, this is a quick and short review, so this is it for now. Good luck on your NCLEX exam, and thank you so much. God bless. Thank you. Hello everyone, how's your NCLEX review going? Now in this review, I will briefly go over diabetes insipidus and go over a few of the contents that you will most likely encounter in your NCLEX exam instead of just going over information that are somewhat unnecessary, okay? Now, diabetes insipidus, it occurs when the body can't regulate how it handles the internal fluids in the body, and the condition is usually caused by a hormonal abnormality. And just to let you know, this isn't related at all to diabetes mellitus, okay? Now, diabetes insipidus, or DI, usually is characterized by large amounts of diluted urine and an increased thirst. So mainly the symptoms with our patient would be polyuria and polydipsia, okay? Now, there are four types of diabetes insipidus. Each of these type has its own set of causes. It's not really important to know each type, but we'll just go over it really quick. There's a central diabetes insipidus, or central DI. It's usually due to not having enough of the hormone vasopressin, which, as we all know, is an antidiuretic hormone. And this can also be due to damage in the hypothalamus or the pituitary gland, which, as we all know, the pituitary gland is the one that helps excrete ADH, okay? Or secrete ADH, I should say. Now, the next one is nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, which occurs in the kidneys and then in the nephrons, when the kidneys are also not responding properly to the antidiuretic hormone vasopressin. Next one is dipsogenic DI, or dipsogenic diabetes insipidus, and again, it's another abnormality with the hypothalamus. And then lastly is gestational diabetes, which happens only during pregnancy. Now, diagnosis is often based on urine tests, blood tests, and what we call a fluid deprivation test, okay? Now, treatment for diabetes insipidus depends on the type, but majority of the patients should be thought to drink sufficient fluids to prevent dehydration, okay? And in central and gestational diabetes insipidus, it is treated with desmopressin. On the other hand, the nephrogenic diabetes insipidus can be treated by addressing the underlying cause and the use of thiazide, aspirin, or ibuprofen, okay? Now, there are a few things that you have to know for the NCLEX in relation to diabetes insipidus, and these are the important contents that I mentioned before. Now, radiation for a brain tumor can place a patient at risk for diabetes insipidus because there is a high possibility of damaging the pituitary gland, which is obviously responsible for ADH secretion. So things we need to watch out for when a patient with a brain tumor is getting the radiation is being at risk for diabetes insipidus, okay? Another one would be like symptoms in common with diabetes insipidus and diabetes mellitus includes polyuria and polydipsia. So you have to watch out for that. That can be a tricky question, okay? Also, since the patient with diabetes insipidus is dehydrated and is losing water, therefore there would be a high serum osmolality, okay? So the serum osmolality would be high, but they would have a low urine specific gravity because the patient is excreting a lot of water out of the body. So there's a high serum osmolality and a low urine specific gravity, okay? And lastly, the client would be at risk for fluid volume deficit, and that's an obvious, since the patient is excreting that much water, they would be at risk for fluid volume deficit. Now, this is it for now, guys. This is just a quick overview, but like I mentioned before, we want to go over the most important contents that you might encounter in your NCLEX exam. Again, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time. Good luck on your exam. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you. Bye bye.